Vanguard shows us exactly why they don't care about offering a Bitcoin spot ETF to their customers, let alone creating their own Bitcoin spot ETF product themselves. Also, Michael Saylor has a new nickname. And if Satoshi was still around, what do you think he would be doing? Well, we don't have Satoshi, but we do have what I consider to be a pretty fair comparison. So right off the bat, let's get into today's stories. Vanguard sees $30 billion of inflows within the same time frame since the Bitcoin ETFs were launched. That is by far dwarfing the amount of inflows coming into the Bitcoin ETF space. So for them, it's not like they missed out on a game-changing opportunity for them in particular, because Vanguard, along with BlackRock, but Vanguard maybe particularly owns the world. And maybe they don't offer that Bitcoin spot ETF just yet. Maybe they will in the future. And if that's the type of money that they're working with, boy, oh boy, if you ever doubted Bitcoin's scarcity, that will be a smack in the face. But also, this reminds me of a movie that Toby and I both quite enjoy called White Tiger. And within that movie, it talks about this guy in India who he's trying to work his way up from utter poverty into being a successful businessman. And he talks about in the West, there's rich white men, or, just basically anyone of privilege has the privilege to let really good opportunities pass them by. They can afford to not take advantage of every opportunity that presents itself. And, those who are up and comers, those who are hungry to make a real difference and make a real change in their life, any opportunity that comes your way, you're going to take advantage of it. And you see these really heavily lined pockets of Vanguard and the amount of money that they're dealing with, and they can afford, for now, to pass by this opportunity of getting any exposure to Bitcoin whatsoever. And this also is playing into a theme that I've been talking about in this channel since like 2017, the concept of a global flippening and this adoption of Bitcoin. And the first ones to do this will benefit the most. And I think not to be limited to Bitcoin either, but in crypto in general, and the ecosystem and the economy that can bring to a new country, a level of monetary policy that is transparent, mathematically proven, and secured. That's a huge pivot to be made. And whether it's on an individual basis, on a business basis, on an institutional basis, or on the country basis, the first mover advantage, I think, will play out nicely for those who are early adopters. Speaking of early adopters, Max Kaiser, classic. He's been talking about Bitcoin since he learned about it many, many, many years ago, when Bitcoin was much cheaper. And now he is calling Michael Saylor the new Warren Buffett. But he says that Michael Saylor is 100 times bigger and better. I mean, I wish I could be as much of a fan as Michael Saylor as it seems like the rest of the cryptocurrency space. If only he could just let go of the need for regulations, and in trying to be so welcoming and inviting those regulators into the blockchain technology, which is completely self-regulating, completely public and auditable, and really regulations seem to be pretty unnecessarily when it comes to the actual network level. And we all know that regulations means a higher barrier of entry for anyone who wants to gain access to actual real Bitcoin. So I think at some point, I hope Michael Saylor is going to understand that he's got a conflict of interest there. If he really believes that Bitcoin is for everyone and is a freedom tool for everyone, he's got to understand that regulations will be a hindrance to that. But also, speaking of a real early adopter, the man who released 120 emails that were correspondence between himself and Satoshi, Marty Malmi. Here's some more information on what makes him so interesting, and yet he seems to be quite a quiet character in this cryptocurrency space, and I'm pretty sure that's because it's just from experience, and he's probably glad to be out of the spotlight. But this is from a tweet from Pete Rizzo. He was a lot of inspiration for me for that past video as well, talking about the emails from Satoshi, and he came out with a really cool thread of more details about his direct involvement, the very, very early days of Bitcoin, and exactly how instrumental he was in helping to get a lot more people exposure to Bitcoin. For example, he helped Satoshi write the first ever FAQ page about Bitcoin. He made the first trade. He sold 5,000 Bitcoin for $5. Essentially, marking the first price point for Bitcoin in terms of fiat. So maybe, do we love that? Do we not like that? I mean, it was inevitable for it to be adopted and traded freely. You have to have a price point, and he set that. He also created the first Bitcoin exchange, acting as the market maker for his own exchange. And guess how many Bitcoin he lost along the way? Can you guess? Put it in the comments down below. I'm going to give you about 5 seconds here. He lost about 30,000 Bitcoin acting as a market maker, trying to provide liquidity for people to trade against on the first ever Bitcoin exchange. Now you got to think, okay, cool. He was also in college at this time, so he was relatively young. He's still definitely in the crypto space. He's still active. And what with someone who is so early on in the development of Bitcoin, I think it's safe to say that anyone that early is doing pretty well. And what would they be building now? Are they even still interested in crypto or Bitcoin only? Well, it turns out Marty here is really into Nostr, which stands for Notes and Other Things Transmitted by Relays. This is not a sponsored post by any means, but it is a cool project. And I remember him speaking about this actually when we were in Bitcoin Amsterdam back in October. And this is right from their Medium post. It says Nostr is an open standard protocol that facilitates resilient and transparent publishing online. So maybe for those of you who are looking for like a decentralized social media or a way to publish your content online without getting banned or censored anywhere, that could be an option for you. They're also working on a DEX as well. That's going to wrap it up for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoy these updates, I appreciate it. Hit like and subscribe. See you tomorrow.